Welcome to Wolf-Ferrari episode 2. Bassoon concertos don't come along very often, but Wolf-Ferrari did write one, though he actually called it a suite concertino, but really it is a concerto. The word concertino maybe suggests something a little bit on the lighter side, which it is. It is lightweight with two slow lyrical movements balancing two cheerful faster ones. And so we'll hear one of the slow movements, the canzone, which is the third movement, and it's played by Kim Walker with the London Mozart Players, conducted by Jane Glover. the bassoon concerto. Wolf-Ferrari was most successful in his lifetime as a writer of mostly comic operas, of which he wrote 14, and in the 1930s he ranked in popularity with Puccini and Mascagni, indeed until the outbreak of World War I, some years before. His operas were among the most successful in the world, not excluding the United States of America. Venice, where he was born and died, provided the setting for many of them. And here's one. It's La Vedova Scaltra, the Cunning Widow, and it is set in Vienna. 4 suitors are after the hand of the beautiful Rosaura, a widow, and they give her gifts and they pledge undying love to her. In this scene, which is roughly from the middle of the opera, Rosaura talks to her maid Marionetta, and she explains that she'd had these gifts, and what she's going to do is she's going to appear in disguise to each one of them and judge their reaction. And if one of them resists her, that's the one she will choose to marry. Just after that, 2 of them, I should say, and a servant, Arlecchino, appear, and they have sort of a row about how things are going, and they decide that it would be a good idea to fight a duel, which they do later on, without very serious consequences. So here we're going to hear Rosaura, sung by Annalisa Solid, and we're going to hear Marionetta, Elena Rossi, and this is a production actually from La Fenice in Venice, and it's conducted by Carl Martin. Here we go.
L'albero sotto una casa non si può credere, non si può dare. Lo stesso è l'albero che è il mio ritratto. Non si può credere, non si può dar, no, non si può dare. Arlecchino, l'intende al rovescio. Arlecchino, l'intende al rovescio. L'intende al rovescio. mandato qualche albero a Madama Rosaura. E poi un ritratto, non nego, confesso, rivali, nemici, cedete, giammai, mi salvo, non Rosaura per me. E dunque, che aspetti? Dovrei forse lasciar d'abitare delle belle ragazze? Jamais, jamais!
And we go straight into the next scene, but we don't, we just leave it there. The strangest, there'll be more up around the third video by the way. The strangest episode in Wolf-Ferrari's life, and it was indeed strange, was surely his relationship with a young American violinist, Guilla Bustabo, who had a successful international career in the 1930s and 40s. She was born in Manitowoc, Wisconsin, 1916. She was prodigiously talented. She performed with the Chicago Orchestra and the Philadelphia Orchestra at the age of 9. She studied in Europe, and in her time was a leading figure on concert platforms worldwide. One of her classmates at the Juilliard School in New York was Yehudi Menuhin. Wolf-Ferrari met her and fell in love with her, and for a while they had a very close relationship. She was in his late 60s, she a strikingly beautiful, rather severe-looking young woman in her 20s. So he wrote a violin concerto for her, dedicated a Guilla Bustabo con amivazione. It was premiered in Munich on January 7th, 1944. Now that should make you think. That's the second last year of the war. This is an American citizen playing to audiences in the capital of Bavarian Nazism, Munich. It was very odd. How did it happen that she came to perform there at a time when our country had been at war with Germany for 3 years? Anyway, Guilla left the composer some time after that, and 2 years later in a letter to a dentist friend, he wrote, "My violin concerto, born so happily at a very happy hour, is a work today I have to regard as tragic, because she who was its inimitable tonal embodiment has now, and for how much longer, been torn away from me." The fact is that Bustabo's career seems to have been tainted by an association with Nazism, real or assumed, and though she did continue to play, her concert engagements outside Germany were considerably reduced after the war, and she stopped playing publicly in 1966 when she died in 2002. Now, she was a wonderful player. If you want to see her, go onto YouTube and find her playing the Sibelius Violin Concerto, and you'll see what I mean. Wolf-Ferrari's concerto is extremely attractive, highly lyrical, and showcasing the playing of his young soloist. There are 4 movements: Fantasia, Romanza, Improvisa, and a rondo finale, cheerful at first and then leading to a long and soulful cadenza. The writer of the CD booklet to this performance that you're about to hear by Hulscher makes the point that had it been written in 1843 and not 1943, it would have held a place in the central repertoire, but in its time it was very backward-looking and dated in idiom. However, now, 80 years on, we really don't need to worry about that. The first movement, the Fantasia, is in free form, with a poignant opening tune which reappears several times, sometimes modified, bustling orchestral interpolations, and a fair bit of display work for the soloist. It's a very unusual movement. Here it is. Well, in our third and final video, we'll investigate what I think, for me, is an almost perfect little opera, Susanna's Secret, and one other thing. See you there.